Hello everybody and welcome to Tales of Escuria. Sorry, off to a weird start today. We are playing in person for the first time on the stream. So if audio sounds a little bit weird, that's why. Also, if you can hear like drinks being poured right now, that's why.
It's alright.
Oh, get off to a good start. As always, we are associated with Horsham Gamers, so they might not want us to be associated with them. We are a local group involved in everything to do with gaming, through from board games and tabletop stuff like this, through to online gaming, esports. If you can think of it and it's something to do with gaming or nerd culture, we're into it. So if you'd like to come and chat with us, if you'd like to come and meet some of us, then please look for us on Facebook, Horsham Gamers, and also our Discord channel, also Horsham Gamers. We'd love to meet you. So, without further ado, we'll get on with episode 13 of Tales of Escuria. So, where we left off, you guys had just met with a man who says that his name is Ifrit, and that his goddess, the Wild Mother, has decided that you are to be rewarded for your actions. He has invited you back to his hut, which appeared to just kind of rise out of the ground when he asked it to. And he's told you that the tea will be ready soon.
Ooh. He's got the tea.
So, he turns around to head towards this kind of squat-looking hut made out of, it looks like mainly natural materials like bark and stone, bound together with vines, with a kind of leafy thatched roof over the top of it. He takes a couple steps towards it and then turns around and looks at sorry, give me a second. And he looks at you, Alasia, and then just looks at the tiny hut and goes, "1 second." And then when he turns around, he just says, "Bodhi, up." And then you see the rest of the hut. It seems like there's underground levels to it also rise up.
Wow.
The door seems to get larger as well, until you realise that this entire hut appears to be on the back of a humongous beetle.
Oh, cool.
That's just kind of like shaking the earth off around it. And once he's finished with that, you can see that the front door is now large enough for you to be able to enter.
Thank you.
Of course, it's my pleasure to be hospitable to honoured guests of the Wild Mother. I only apologise that I didn't realise until just now. I'm used to having somewhat smaller guests.
It's fine. I'm used to.
Shall we? And then he kind of gestures to head inside. When you guys get inside this hut, you can see that there are various different plants that are growing inside it. Some of them kept in plant pots, some of them just seem to be sprouting up from bits of soil in the floor. And various different of these plants are giving off small amounts of gently twinkling light. There's some ivy which is kind of across the ceiling, which is giving off a kind of fairy lights vibe to it.
That's cool.
That's beautiful.
And he walks over to a small table which appears to be made out of a tree stump. And on top of it you can see a small flame which appears to be just kind of hovering in the air above this tree stump, and then hovering slightly above that you can see what looks like a copper teapot. And he sits down and arrays a series of mugs for you and begins to pour out the tea for you, and just says, I hope that you enjoyed this. This is one of my special bends for honoured guests. And he hands them out to you. Can each of you roll a d20, please?
Ooh, 17.
Nice 6.
16.
Okay.
5.
Whatever you rolled, you regain that many hit points when you drink the tea.
Oh, okay.
As you take kind of a sip of this tea, you feel kind of the vitality start to leach back into you. It almost feels as though kind of like any kind of tension that you are holding starts to kind of release. You start to kind of relax. It has a vaguely pepperminty flavour, with something else underneath it that you can't quite put your finger on. But as he sees you kind of starting to relax, he smiles and he starts to nod, and he just says, yes, that's good. Well, I suppose I should probably tell you exactly what it is that you are being rewarded with. It is these. And he turns around and walks over to collect a small kind of stone box. It has very ornate carvings on it of various different natural designs, leaf and shell and all this kind of stuff, all on the outside of it, this black kind of sandstone box. He brings it over and lays it down on the table and flips open the lid of it. And you can see inside it are 3 eggs. They are fairly large, probably about the size of like an ostrich egg. They are kind of cream coloured with little kind of blue splodges on them, and they also appear to have writing on them, which appears to be kind of carved into the surface in gold.
Do we understand the writing?
Give me a religion check.
Okay. No, I can tell you no. It's a 2.
It appears to be some kind of writing.
And that's it.
And that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's you're not even able to kind of tell what you might have been able to tell what language it is, even if you couldn't speak it. You look at it and it's just like the script seems very flowing. It seems to be almost like when you read it, it seems to kind of flow like water. It seems to change as you are reading it, which makes it very difficult. And I think it's safe to say none of you would know this speech. None of you would even recognise the language. And
can we touch the eggs?
Sure. They give off a kind of slight warmth, like not kind of warm to the touch, but when you touch it, if you keep your hand there for a while, it just starts to kind of gently warm the palm of your hand.
Ooh.
Is there life inside?
He nods and he says, there is the beginnings of life inside. What exactly there is, no one knows. Or rather, there are many possibilities as to what could be in these eggs. The Wild Mother shapes life as she chooses. And in this case, these eggs could contain any number of things. But that very much depends upon you.
Wow.
So,
I have a question. Does Idris know who the Wild Mother is, since the gods are quite, so Dol'ara and the Wild Mother are quite related?
Yes,
Let's say that.
Make a religion check with advantage.
Oh, with advantage.
Ooh,
Don't
can we
go
get some
away.
light in here?
It's 16 and a 13, so it's a 16 plus 0, I think. Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
You know of the Wild Mother, yes.
Okay.
You know that while the Wild Mother and Dol'ara kind of see eye to eye on a lot of things, they both kind of believe in the protection of nature and the advancement of nature. The Wild Mother is more interested in she's more interested in a balance of nature. She's very much for there's a place for men and there's a place for beasts, and there is a place in the middle for both. And she wants to keep the balance between the two, whereas Dol'ara occasionally goes a little bit militaristic with it and has overrun the cities. Nature should be everything.
Vixen being half person, half animal, she's kind of down with that.
So yeah, you know that of the Wild Mother. The Wild Mother and Dol'ara are quote unquote sisters.
Yeah, they are.
Like,
Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. It's a bit complicated with gods because they aren't really born; they just kind of exist.
But yeah,
But-
they're all somehow related. to
Related,
each other,
yeah.
yeah. So I just wanted to know if she actually knows it. So
Yeah,
she would be
definitely.
really happy with this goddess and the gift.
Mhm.
That's
Is she actually around?
The Wild Mother.
Yeah, I'm asking the.
She's everywhere, right?
she's
Yes.
in the forest.
She is here. She is in this leaf. She is in the air. She is in
The house.
yes, the house and
The beetle.
and the kind mechanism for moving the house as well. The Wild Mother is anywhere that there is nature.
Yeah, I know I'm not into religion, but I mean, is she like physically as a being here? I'm not referring to.
Can she show herself as a humanoid being?
Humanoid, yeah.
It seems like a
if
rude
she's so-
question to ask
I'm
about.
just translating what he wants to say.
But I want to be rude. Well, not rude, but
He doesn't know that he's
Yeah.
Slap Zealand.
Do we have to do anything to show respect on her?
Just whilst you are here, respect the creatures around you. I mean, you would not be sitting here right now talking to me if you were not already in some way honouring the Wild Mother. She has already shown her favour towards you, so keep doing what you're doing.
That's good.
And as to your question, yes, she could show herself if she so desired. As it is, I don't think that she does right now.
okay, fair enough.
Well, now we must talk of how exactly these eggs are to be gifted to you. You probably will have noticed by now that there are only 3 eggs and more than 3 of you. So, at this point, he reaches up to the red encrusted jewels that are his eyes, and he puts his hands over them, and then just kind of, you see him like take the jewels out, and behind them, in like the eye sockets, you can see it looks almost like smouldering like embers, like coals, with like a dim flame just kind of burning behind them. And he says, "To determine who is most worthy of this great gift requires me to see through your eyes, to understand you." So, and then he reaches out with the 2 jewels and kind of places them, like he's holding them out like over the table, and says, "Who wants to go first?"
I don't
Little nervous about this.
I will go.
Are they hot?
As Idris is a big paladin.
Will they burn?
No.
Will it hurt?
No. No more so than remembering.
Alright.
Is he
Remembering what?
lying?
You will have to see. Make an insight check. If you want to go as well.
I don't think he would be lying.
It's a 4.
Oh, Idris trusts him completely.
It's like a 7.
Where are you?
7.
So you go first.
He's just such
I
a
go
confusing
first,
person
I'm a
that you're
little
just
bit
like,
scared.
he could be telling the truth.
She's
He
not
could be
scared at
lying
all.
about everything. I don't know.
Okay, I
She
brave
feels
it
really
and I take the
confident.
jewels and I'm guessing I put them on my eyes.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
if
you take them too. Oh, okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
you said that. So it just goes first.
Since
So,
she
yeah.
trusts him completely, it's so familiar to her, this whole situation. She's like, yeah,
Go.
I'll
With the
fine.
eyes.
Everyday, everyday life. It's all good.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
No problem.
So,
I'm
yeah.
watching inquisitively at your gem-like eyes.
When you hold them kind of in your hands, they're heavier than you would expect. Like,
You're strong.
I'm strong as already.
you just plummet through the depths of the earth forever. Roll a new character. Anyway, so they're a bit heavier than you would expect, and they too, as well as the eggs, seem to give off a slight warmth. And you said you like place them over your eyes.
Yeah. I do it.
Okay.
I
So-
absolutely trust him.
When you do that, the rest of you see, it's a little bit unnerving, but you see that the jewels kind of like stay in place kind of in front of Idris's eyes, even if she takes her hands away. And Idris's eyes appear in the eye sockets of the man.
How's it doing that?
He looks towards you and just says, I have some tricks up my sleeve.
So cool.
So he then just says, I would beg of you a moment for me to reflect.
I drink my tea.
He closes his eyes, and then first of all, Idris, you are seeing one of your own memories.
Oh, okay.
But you are seeing it from the third person. So you can see yourself, and you can also see a version of you as you are today, standing there, watching this happen.
All right.
And Ifrit is also standing there next to you.
Hey, bruh. What's going on?
He just fist bumps you and is like,
All right.
"You."
Let's move on.
It's like the ghost of Christmas present.
Yeah.
So as you are watching, so I asked you guys ahead of time to send me details of your highest and lowest moments.
Yeah.
If you would like me to, we can talk about them now. Alternatively, if you'd rather keep these secret from the other players as well, we can just kind of like skip past them a little bit and then move on.
Oh no, it's fine for me. I think these memories are quite
Cool.
occasion.
Okay, but yeah, the choice is entirely up to each of you.
I
Whatever you
don't know
want to do.
what to do.
Mhm.
My character doesn't.
Well,
really
I have time
much
to think.
secrets.
Yeah, we'll have the others go first, and then we can get to you.
Okay.
So yeah, you guys appear to be standing in a forest.
It's quite familiar.
And he can see, but both of you are able to see a younger, but not much younger, version of Idris, kneeling there, in amongst these humongous ancient trees with very gnarled roots that seem to rise and fall out of the earth, spanning several meters. And he turns to you and says, interesting. What does this memory mean to you?
It's the moment where I found the meaning of my life. This forest means a lot to me. It represents life around the world. Plane. It's a plane. It's not a world, right? So yeah. It's a
I
really
see.
important moment.
And you said you found your purpose in this moment.
Yeah.
What is your purpose?
Help to keep life as joyful and life worthy as I can.
Indeed, a noble purpose. I don't mean to intrude. And he looks down at kind of your breastplate with the symbol of Dalara and just says, "You are a follower of Dalara, yes?
I am, indeed.
Interesting. I have often found that there is a certain kindred spirit between followers of my god and followers of yours. But also, as with any family relationship, the tendency to squabble a little bit.
I agree.
I often find that followers of Dalara tend to have a more binary view of the world, that there is right and there is wrong, and never the two shall meet. Tell me, do you believe that? Do you believe that there is absolute good and absolute evil?
Absolute is a strong word. I would say there's good and there's evil, and there's things you shouldn't mess with life because life is perfect as it is. But I would say there are situations where maybe things are not absolutely good and absolutely bad, I dealt with things where I had to make decisions to take a life, to keep joy in this world. So I won't agree to 100%, but I would say I try to keep the good as clean as possible.
He seems satisfied with your answer and he nods. And he just says, I am glad that you are enlightened in this way. I have had some rather unfortunate discussions with followers of Dolara before who seem to believe that for a thing to be good, it must be completely good.
Sometimes.
Sometimes this can be true, but nature tends to be a little bit more grey. There is a balance to things, of course. And he reaches down and there's a small kind of flower that is growing, and he picks it, and when he does, you can see the moment that he picks it, it appears to be kind of like a ripple in the air. And as he looks at it, he just says, life is good, true. Death, too, is an important part of the cycle. And he just kind of blows and the petals start to flow away into the wind, and he just says, the balance between the two can sometimes be a little muddy. But I digress. I am merely waxing lyrical. Sorry, I do not get many followers around here, many people who can have a enlightened conversation with. You understand?
Yeah, in my party that's also not often the case.
He gives you a kind of quizzical look, just like, well, I guess I will find out for myself what you mean by that.
I feel you, bro.
In the meantime, and you see he reaches up and kind of snaps his fingers together, and then you go to a different memory. This one is altogether darker. You seem to flash through various different memories, almost as if they are rushing past you, of the things that you have had to do since trying to leave Sakani, of the death that has been caused, of the darkness that you feel to be encroaching upon you. And as you do so, he stands next to you and looks up at you. Being the small man that he is, he has to look up quite far to see you. And he just says, I see that you are familiar with the death side of the equation.
Yes. You know, it's different. It's like different that in this memory. It's like I had to get through the battles between the Union and what is the other, Rayburn? No, it's the Rayburn Union
And House Varren, yeah.
Oh, House Varren, yeah. So it was different that. There was death, but there was hope. In this case, I didn't feel that too much. It was like endless running without any hope. It wasn't like I could stop to help. And that's why it was so different.
He considers what you were saying for a second and nods thoughtfully. And then he reaches into the kind of loose-fitting robes that he's holding, and he holds a small candle.
Oh.
And he says, do you think that a candle, when lit, realizes that it is a source of light itself? Or does it merely see the light around it?
No, I don't think so.
This is a metaphor, of course.
Yep, that's what I was thinking of.
Yes. You say when you were fighting with your brothers and sisters of the Vainborn Union that there was hope.
There was hope, there was light,
You could see the hope around you. You could see the hope in others that they were giving to continue in the fight together, yes.
Yeah. I would say so.
Interesting. Do you not realise that perhaps to the others around you, you are the source of hope in this group? Perhaps you don't feel the hope surrounding you because you are the hope. You don't see the light because you are the candle.
Interesting view.
That's pretty.
Yeah, it's a pretty metaphor.
It is something to consider. You know, I say that you are familiar with the death part of the equation, but death is part of life as life is part of death. The two are a cycle.
Yes.
And perhaps you shouldn't be quite so worried. If you do what you need to stay alive, to continue providing hope, I personally would not see a problem with that.
Yeah, me too. The only real problem is the undead.
Yes. There is a cycle of life and death, and there is that which escapes the cycle. And in that we can both agree they must be destroyed. Balance must be restored.
I'm just nodding.
He continues to look around at this, the kind of scenes of violence, and says, I think that's quite enough of that. And then snaps his fingers, and then both of you are back in the room. The gems kind of like fall from your eyes, and your own eyes return to your head. And everyone else around the room sees the coals return. For all of you, it's been maybe half a second.
Oh,
Okay.
fancy.
Your gems just fell off. Do you want to put them back on?
No, I think I'm good.
I think I have seen what I needed to.
Give them back.
That was fast.
Yeah.
You missed some trippy stuff. He was wearing your eyes.
Wearing is not perhaps the term I would use.
It was fascinating.
It was
You did
scary.
I was just time traveling.
It was cool.
Eyes and it's
Trust me, when it is your turn, it will be infinitely more interesting.
Nervous now.
So,
I drink my tea.
who would like to go next?
it's all good. It doesn't hurt.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll brave
okay,
it.
Yeah, I'll go with the. I'll let the fanatics go first. I mean.
Yeah, I'll bear with it. I brave it and I take the gems and
Yeah.
I sort of look at them in my hands first, a little nervous, and then I just sort of whack them on. Just
like a shot.
go for it.
Okay. So yeah, there is a kind of rushing sensation when you put the gems up to your eyes, and the rest of you see again Vixen's eyes enter the eye sockets of Ifrit, and let me see. I have to go a little bit back on this one. Okay. So when the rushing sensation comes, when it feels like you've kind of reached the end of a roller coaster ride, when it just kind of comes to a slight stop, just kind of like, and you can see there is a palpable sense of relief when it's over. And you can see before you a small, what looks to be a half drow girl. She seems to have mostly kind of dark human skin with small kind of blotchy patches of grey, and you can see that she is sat there with there's a small kind of ball that she is tossing back and forth between her hands before she rolls it towards a bed. And then out from under the bed comes a very much smaller, probably about 7 or 8 years old Vixen.
I used to love this game.
I can see that.
I miss this house.
Tell me, where is it?
It's Cass's house.
Cass.
She was my friend, like a sister. We had so much fun.
Interesting. You say was.
I don't know what happened to her. One day she just disappeared, and I was thrown out. I wasn't necessary anymore. I was really there for her. I don't originally know where I came from. I only this is kind of my earliest memory. I only remember the house and Cass and how much fun we had. We got into some trouble too. But when it was all gone, they didn't need me anymore.
The machinations of men seem to be far more destructive than any force of nature could ever be. To tear oneself away from friendship and a home, that is truly, truly a sad thing. It is interesting that even your happy memories seem tinged with an edge of sadness.
Yeah, I suppose they do. I never thought about it like that.
At this point, you guys watch as the small version of Vixen, kind of in a state of semi-transformation between human and fox, is kind of running on all fours with this ball in her mouth. Before kind of dropping it at the kind of feet of this half drow girl, who then gives you kind of like a scratch behind the ear.
Aww.
And he lets out kind of like a nice chuckle, just kind of like a well, perhaps one day you might be able to find the answer to some of the questions. Perhaps then the sadness of this memory might be relieved, and it might be a truly happy one.
I just hope she's okay.
He looks up, and for a second, you feel like what seems to be kind of like a gust of wind just kind of like blow past, like a gentle breeze. And he smiles and just says, "That's unexpected. I cannot tell you much, but she is alive and with friends."
That gives me relief.
He then says, "It saddens me to have to do this, but give me a second." And then he snaps his fingers again. And when the rushing sensation stops, you are still in the same room, except this time there's no Cass. She appears to be gone. Most of her possessions seem to still be here, and you can see an older this time, maybe a couple years older, Vixen sat there with just the ball kind of rolling it back and forth on the floor. And as he looks down and watches that, he says, "I understand the tinge of sadness now. I can see the reasons behind it. This is not the first time that you have lost your family, is it?"
No, but I don't remember much about them.
You have experienced a great perversion of the course of nature, for which I am truly sorry. I can only hope that in the future the balance may be restored for you. And if there is anything that I can do, any part that I may play in that, I hope I can try and help.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. I don't want to see this memory anymore.
Yes, that's quite enough of this. And he,
She's kind of crying.
he snaps his fingers again.
I am kind of crying.
Again, you're back in the room. And as the gems fall away, you can just see like the slight beginnings of a tear.
Oh.
And he nods and takes the gems away from you. And he just refills your teacup and just says, "You'll feel better."
Thank you.
Since Idris knows that she went through this whole process, she goes over and puts a hand on her shoulder.
Can you feel something?
No, there's nothing to say.
Okay. The next one who takes it up, Gimbal, who seems to kind of been hesitantly standing next to a chair rather than sitting at
Him
one.
is like, the bearer's story.
I like him. I don't like him. He's really pragmatic.
He just reaches towards him and just says, "Right, then let's get this over with." Pops him up to his eyes.
Oh, bearer's story.
And after a couple of seconds, the gems fall away from his eyes again.
Ah, sad.
Damn it, Gimbal.
It's not my story to tell, it is.
Ah.
But yeah, the Ifrit this time takes the gems back and just says, "Finding purpose is important. I believe you're on the right track already. Just try to think a little bit more about the consequences of your actions, perhaps."
Okay. Oh, what just happened there?
He then looks around to Kada, who also puts them up to her eyes. A few seconds later, they drop. And he says, "I can see you're already well on your way to finding companionship. I think that this is a good situation for you to find yourself in. I would perhaps suggest that vengeance take a back seat for a while."
Okay.
Damn kid, you've been naughty.
He looks around and sees the two of you.
We are the only ones in the room. I mean, Hog and
Ellen starts to run.
no.
Dives off the side of the beach.
Hawk is back at the camp.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I get one of them and clean
one?
it like on my
Just one eye.
on my throat. Yeah, I want to do that. Like, can I use only one?
Can you
Like not use, but try one and see what happens.
Okay. You try one, you put it up to your eye, and there is now a gem in front of your eye.
Okay, so yeah, I use the other one.
Okay.
You can't see the past and the future without both eyes.
Mhm. So, the rushing sensation comes and passes, and you find yourself in a kind of leafy forest. Looking around you, you recognise the spot.
Mm-hmm.
This is a spot where you used to come and used to play. Back before you had to leave your proper family home.
Mm-hmm.
You can see small kind of white powder floating down through the branches of the air, which at first seems to throw the Ifrit off. He just says, "Snow. I was not aware that... not snow. Ash."
Yeah, I liked it. It seems that it was winter and summer.
Yes. It is quite beautiful. Even the acts of great destruction can bring beauty and renewal. The ash fertilizes the soil, the plants grow strong. Even the while fire rages out of that volcano. The balance in action.
Yeah, maybe. You see so?
Really? I didn't see it like that.
That was not the important thing about that place, anyway.
Anyway.
Well, let's see what was the important thing then.
Well, I would like to play there. I mean, Ilian was a really nice guy. We were really close friends, and it was the only time I could like escape from, the aristocratic life and those snobs.
Ah, yes. I always marvel at how, even in their attempts to make things better, people of civilization seem to create more and more cages.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this might sound rude, but I mean, gods can clash and nobles can fight, but I mean, the land and the earth is I mean, it's ours. It belongs to us. I mean, not you, but us, as more terminal persons.
I quite agree. The earth belongs to all of us. Just as much as it belongs to you, it belongs to me.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, you follow a goddess, I guess.
I guess.
We obviously have like a different perception of this, but yeah, I mean, you are friendly anyway, yeah. I'm just like trying to put a little bit of distance between him and me. I don't want to be compared to him somehow.
He seems put off by many of the things that you were saying. Before after a while, he puts a hand on your shoulder and just says, "You say a great deal about what others believe. What do you believe? What is true for you?"
I don't know. In the end, I think that obviously our actions have impacts on other people, but I just don't want to be tied to any place or be trapped again,
The freedom to roam.
Maybe, but not to wrong to be greater or such a warrior, a person to write song about. I want just to have a charm life, but yeah, sometimes it's difficult.
He nods and he says, "I see now why this memory means so much to you. You want to have a life free of the boundaries that have been placed upon you."
Yeah, you're right.
Yes. This is a noble desire. I would merely suggest that if you want to find true freedom, you must first figure out exactly what it is that you want.
I like it. It's nice. Nice.
Let's move on. Yes? It's upstairs and then... Okay. He snaps his fingers and we now find a much rougher looking version of Aland. Looks to be in what would be the equivalent of early 20s for a human, probably around about 100 or so for a drow. And Elland appears to be chained to a wall. He appears to be badly bruised, bleeding from bloody scabs on his wrists where he has been tied to the wall. And he appears to be extremely thin. You can see the bones of his rib cage. And he, when you arrive in this place, he looks to you and just says, "An altogether different kind of cage, I see."
Well, yeah. You see what's here, and I guess this is what made me realize and change as I am right now. Yeah, it all started here.
So, what happened to you here?
Well, when my family had to go to Sakani, I was left here. I was too young for that. They left me in charge of under the charge of a guy. I call him the professor. He had to teach me about the noble ways and all that kind of stuff that was useful for all the bureaucratic life that I was supposed to have. But in the end, he was still a slave, and yeah, he used his position and my, we can say, like, slight willingness to learn. Yeah, he tried the hard way to mainly learn.
I see.
Gosh.
You in many ways, the sins of the father passed on to the son.
Yeah, maybe. I was, yeah, really enraged those days. All the drows have heard about the stories of, that drow that became like a legend. You know, the Druids?
Yes, I am familiar with Duerden.
Yeah, I wish I had that power just to, get him and kill him and make him pay for all that he made me. And then I was his student.
You have seen that power can be used as a weapon against someone.
Yeah, but you never know. In the end, it might mean nothing. I mean, what does it mean, the vengeance, in the end?
This is a wise and good way to view this. Things can be painful. They can teach you in ways that you do not want to be taught. But ultimately, the decision not to seek vengeance is a wise one. There is some good in you. Even if it was not the lesson that he was intending to teach you, I believe that you were taught something important by this teacher, though I loathe to call him that.
Yeah, I guess so. You always can learn anything.
Well, and then he snaps his fingers and you're back in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And he just says, "You have been benefited greatly by the society that you were born into, the privilege of your position. Yet, I can see that you do not care for them. That perhaps you do not like the society that you were born into.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we can agree on that. I don't like it.
Good. You have not been blinded by the gold pieces over your eyes.
We all like money, I guess, but not at any price.
Quite right. Thank you. And then he looks to you, Alessia.
I feel so bad. Okay.
He reaches out and hands you the gems. When they enter your hands, they seem to enlarge to match the size of your.
Amazing.
I look at them
Gigantic gems.
wow. I look terrified, but I just press them.
Okay. You feel the rushing sensation, and it comes to a stop. And what do we see? What is your happy memory?
We are in an arena.
Mm-hmm.
There's a thin white girl on the floor with a couple tooth in the floor. I just press, when I see it, I just press my back. I am carrying, always with my personal things,
Mm-hmm.
and I just look around. Everyone is cheering, and there's a woman like doing the symbol of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He looks to your. He looks to the bag on your side. He notices you put your hand there, and he just says, "Interesting. Tell me, what is it that you carry with you?"
Those are my lucky charms. That was the day when I won my freedom. And yes, those are the teeth of the. I mean, when we are watching the scene, I am helping the girl to rise up and cutting the tooth she left, and yeah, taking it like a sort of trophy. Everyone is cheering, but I am happy not because of that. I'm happy because what actually happened really means I am able to be free.
Freedom is the truest expression of nature that I can believe in. The freedom of an animal to go where it wishes. This is important. And he looks at the young thin girl, and you see a slight puzzled look comes over his face for a second. He just like, wow, interesting. Tell me, this tooth, may I see it?
Of course. I take them from my bag, which are in a little bag, and show them to you.
He holds them in his hand and kind of turns them over a little bit, and you can see he's kind of smiling at them, and he starts to just kind of chuckle to himself, and he's just like and then he hands them back to you.
Thank you. They're very important to me.
I can see that. They remind you of how you won your freedom, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Good. You should hold on to them tight.
I will.
Not many people get the opportunity to have such a physical attachment to their own past. I'm almost sorry to have to do this. And then he snaps his fingers again, and you hear the air rushing. And where do we find you in your sad memory?
Okay, we are on a beach, and I am with a group of big men. We are raging. I don't know if it's a word.
Raiding?
Raiding the village, and I wait outside while they are having fun with women.
He shakes his head and he just looks to you and says, "Shall we go for a walk?"
That would be great.
He turns and kind of walks with you along this shoreline. You can see that as you're walking along this beach, there are various different bodies left there of villagers. Some who have clearly been killed by sword or axe, a few with arrows sticking out of their backs, and some blood leaching into the seawater just as it laps at the shore. And he says, "Tell me, why were you raiding this village?"
I was forced to. I was a slave. There wasn't much I can. Sorry. There wasn't a way for me to. Don't argue. It was that or death.
Being forced into a position where you must take another's life, it is regrettable. Slavery is one of the most terrible and most powerful tools ever created by man. One of the worst perversions of nature. I am sorry
I just
to
looked
make
down really ashamed.
He reaches up and kind of like puts a hand like on like your waist and is just kind of like, do not be ashamed of the actions that you had no choice in. There are a few amongst your party who have had to make choices that they are unhappy with. This is sometimes unavoidable. Instead, look at the actions that you have taken. Confront them directly. Look into the face of the badness that you have created and understand it so that you will never do so again.
Thank you. That's a wise advice.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'd quite like some tea right now. And then finally you're all back in the room. He takes the 2 gems and places them back in his own eye sockets. It's just like, oh, that was interesting. Well, I must commune a moment with the Wild Mother. If you would permit me just a second. And he gets up and walks outside of the... he walks outside and you can see out of a little kind of... it looks almost like a stained glass window, and you realise it seems to be made of almost like discarded insect wings.
Oh wow!
That's
sounds
cool.
really pretty.
It does sound really pretty.
But you can see him outside, standing there. He reaches down to the ground and kind of moves some of the loose leaves to the side, puts his hand kind of deep into the soil for a second, and you can see him whispering and waiting and nodding until eventually he takes his hand back out of the soil, walks back inside, and says, "The Wild Mother has chosen."
Oh.
He reaches And he reaches and picks up the first egg, and he looks at you, Idris, and he reaches out and hands it to you.
Oh, which colour is it?
They're all identical at this point.
Oh, they are.
They're all white with kind of a creamy white with little blue splotches on them, and then the golden writing.
Yeah.
He hands one to you and just says, "You show a good and keen understanding of the balance, and I hope that this creature will help you find your way."
Oh,
That's so
it's a
cool.
lovely one.
He picks up the second one.
Will it be fluffy? That's the question.
That's the question.
It's not.
It's still
You'll still love it.
He looks to
Imagine
you,
it's a bird.
Vixen,
I love birds.
and he hands you one and says, "To lose one's pack once is a tragedy. Twice is unforgivable. This be the first member of your new pack."
Oh, that's really cute.
She will eat it. She's a fox.
No. No.
Mythical.
I nuzzled my egg.
Nine tails.
And the last one,
It's a magical egg. Not a
Nine,
chicken.
a nine tails, please.
he picks up and he hands to you, Alasia.
Aw.
And it looks tiny in my hand.
It looks. It's like.
Oh, it looks probably
It
like
looks,
quail
looks
egg.
really
Like-
small. He's
She's
just
like,
like, "You have your freedom now. And with your freedom, you have the choice to bring life or to bring death. I hope that you will show the same kindness to this creature
I will.
as you did to that woman in the arena." With that, he pours some more tea and sits back and just says, "You may rest here for as long as you wish. I myself will be planning to move house. Probably around about a few hours' time. So you are very welcome to move with me or stay where you are."
We have to go back to the others.
Yeah.
They're alone.
Ah, yes, the other members of your group. Please send my regards. I am. The Wild Mother was very specific in her instructions.
The old grumpy lady is not the best one to have an attendant.
Yes.
Hawk's a wild card.
Well, the Wild Mother is usually not one to speak ill of anyone, but I believe the term she used was heinous bitch. So we'll leave it at that. And as for that
Hail her
other
for
one,
the words, for the wise words.
I'm honestly not sure what to make of that one. I don't think the Wild Mother is either.
Ifrit, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Your magic eyes crystals, do they show you all of your past, or is it just like situational?
Oh, she wants to know if she can know more about her past.
They
It's a good idea.
in okay. It is a complex matter. They show you what is most pertinent to the situation. For me personally, what it showed me was what I needed to know in order to determine which of you were worthy of these gifts. That is all that I was able to see. If there were another situation and the Wild Mother allowed it, I would be able to see more. Perhaps I would be able to see less. As it is, I saw exactly what I needed to.
So you don't think you could show me my family?
She probably has to ask the wild mother.
he looks saddened for a second, and then he says, "I will try." Takes them out, hands them to you.
I put my egg in my pocket, like really warm and snuggly. Take the eyes. And I'm trembling at this point, but I decided to just sort of shove them in because I'm brave. I can do it.
This time you see a forest and something which you are unfamiliar with except from a very vague memory. You can see moonlight. And you are not able to see your family per se, but you hear. You can hear the calls of the rest of your pack. You can hear the sounds of running feet. You can hear footfalls on earth. You have the sensation of being on the hunt. And in this moment, you are both able to see a very, very small, what looks almost entirely like a fox. And he looks down and he sees you as you are desperately kind of howling, trying to elicit any kind of response from anyone. You can hear the howls, but you can't pinpoint their exact location. Your ears are turning, you are turning your head, you are panicking. And he says, This is the limitation of what I can do. I can only show you that which you already remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
You tried.
I only wish I could do more.
I appreciate the effort.
And then he snaps his fingers. You're back in the room.
Meanwhile, I'm cutting with my knife a little bit of my fluffy fur cape and having my egg inside of it and in my bag.
Can you spare some for my egg?
Yes, of course.
Oh, thank you.
And I
Maybe
have
it's like a similar idea, but a little bit different. I have a question.
Yes.
So my hair is glowing, right?
Yes.
If I cut it off, will it still glow?
Wait, your hair?
Yes.
I'd say it would probably continue to glow for around about 24 hours and then we'll start to like...
Sad. Just imagine a glowing clit.
That would be great.
Ah, yes.
I'm just imagining like a really, really confused hairdresser being like, why is it still glowing? What's happening?
It's magic.
But yeah.
Okay, then there's no point cutting it off for it. No, then I would take some of your fat.
Make a little.
Okay.
I've made a little nest in a pouch, and I've got my egg in the pouch.
Keep it
I'm just
warm
staring at
and
it, just mesmerised by this little magical egg.
Oh, can I bless it?
Ooh.
Can I
Ooh,
bless
maybe
it?
not, because you might alter whatever magics is already there.
If
I asked
you ask him, can you bless it?
Can I bless it? Would it make it feel more comfy? Would it make
Oh,
it happy?
that's cute.
I doubt it would do any harm. I'm not sure if it would do anything that would affect it in any way.
It's worth a try, and I bless it.
Oh.
When you do that, you feel like the slightest shaking inside the egg, like it's moving.
Ooh. You make me feel nauseous, but that's cute.
I spurned Stasla.
So yeah, you guys are able to rest for as long as you'd like to, and a couple of hours pass until eventually he says, "Friends, it has been a great honor having you here, and I hope that in some small way I may be able to have helped you along your path. Please, if you are ever in desperate need, call my name on the wind. I will hear."
Oh, beautiful.
That's
I
really
don't like
Why?
because we will be in
in danger?
No,
We have a free calling card for.
in depth with them.
I'm always in depth of the great goddess. And hail the wild mother.
Okay, yeah.
I don't mind. I don't mind.
It's nice.
And the tea
to
was
have this.
delicious. Thank you.
Oh, you are
Yeah.
most welcome.
Yeah.
I do like tea.
Hmm.
I prefer beer, but I do like tea.
Yeah, I think we should goodbye to him. Like,
Ellen the Strike.
send regards to the wild mother. And yeah, I hope we can see her sometime.
Perhaps.
You only need to ask, is she pretty?
No, I don't want. I don't want that. I want to see her. I mean,
I don't think he believes that's what he wants to see.
So yeah, he just says, I must be moving on. You are of course free to come with me if you so wish. However, I think our paths may not be in the same direction. And you have the other two to deal with as well.
And Jenkins.
Oh,
And
Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Forget about Jenkins.
Yeah, he
He's
stayed
there.
there, didn't he?
Yeah,
Ah,
he
yes.
didn't others. I can't leave Jenkins alone.
Oh, poor Jenkins.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just kind of he walks over to the door and opens it and says, I do not wish to force you to leave it anyway, but if you were to leave, now would be the time.
We live.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you very much for
Yeah.
everything.
Really lovely.
As
And
you
thank
leave,
the,
like
thank the wild mother.
as you leave, like he either like gives each of you like either like a pat on the back or like a handshake or similar, just kind of like a to all of you. And then when you kind of step down off the kind of, it seems like there's rocky steps that have been kind of like attached to the outside of the shell of this beetle. You step down them and onto the ground, and then the beetle kind of shakes itself a little bit and then starts to slowly kind of like plod off into the forest.
Wow.
So cool.
Cute.
Well, guys, that was a trip. What the hell happened there?
Yeah.
And that is where we're going to go for our break.
Yeah, and what
So,
do I do?
we'll
I'm
be
super happy.
we'll be back in a few minutes, guys. Stay tuned for the next bit, the final part of Tales of Escuria, episode 13 tonight. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second part of tonight's episode of Tales of Escuria. So, you guys are on your way back from your meeting with Ifrit. Your new eggs in tow. It's around about a 10-minute walk back to the camp. And you guys have been gone, you think probably a couple of hours at this point. It's like mid-morning. So yeah. As you guys approach the outskirts of the camp, can each of you make a perception check for me, please?
No.
Fuck.
Which
The
dice?
20.
That one?
The big one. No, yeah,
4 for me.
plus your modification.
Which one is?
Perception.
Perception, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's -1. It's 14.
14,
13 plus 3, I think. 16.
16.
Bear with.
Where is my perception?
Perception 3.
3. So 4 more plus 3.
7.
7. Okay.
17.
17. Okay. So, Elland and Vixen, you both realise as you get to the outskirts of the camp that something's off. You would normally expect to be able to hear either Hawk or Lady Selwyn, but you can't hear them. And when you get to the outskirts of the camp, you can see the fire still kind of gently smouldering away, the fire pit, but you can't see them either.
Where's Jenkins?
Can't see Jenkins either.
I can't see Jenkins.
Can I hulk out and sniff and see if I can pick up their scent?
Sure. Make a perception check with advantage.
Did we have a long rest?
No.
The tent.
Yeah, no, well, we've got sort of fully healed.
Yeah, you
but
had like a short rest and you
Yeah.
got hit points back from the tea.
But no
epic
magic.
tea.
No.
No. Oh, it's a 19. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, it was the end of a long rest anyway before you went to do all that,
Yeah.
so you would have had something anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, what did you get?
19.
19. Okay. You managed to pick up the scent of them. They are still in the camp,
Oh.
but they are at the moment obscured from view. So there are the various different glowing mushrooms, the large kind of ones in the clearing. As far as you can tell, they appear to still be in the camp, but somewhere behind one of them. Somewhere out of view from where you currently are.
Okay, why did they
Okay.
do that?
I can still smell them. They're here.
They might be on top of the things, the mushroom things.
But why?
Can we tell if...
Can
Any-
we scream to them?
No.
Something is off. We're not screaming when something
I'm getting the
is
sense
off.
the rest of the party doesn't want to do that.
I jump up and try to cover her mouth.
I mean,
Big lady.
what happened here? They're not here.
They're
Ca-
still
ca-
here.
Can we tell? Yeah.
They're still here. I
Can we tell if there's
Something
like
is off.
other smell or other
Yes, there's some weird
footsteps
smell.
around?
Ooh, yeah.
Make an investigation check.
Okay.
All of us.
Just Tammy, because you're doing it with.
Start in a minute. Hold on.
She's sniffing around, so she should do it as well.
Investigation. It's 12.
Oh, mad.
12. There is a smell. It's vaguely familiar, but you can't tell where from.
So someone else.
I can smell something familiar, but I don't know where it's from.
Where it's
Somewhere
from?
else.
Unfamiliar.
It's familiar.
Maybe
It's not
someone
them.
we already met.
I
I
guess so.
don't know.
It's a
It-
trap. Somebody.
Yeah.
It's a trap. It's a trap. There's someone we don't know. Maybe we know. Who
The
cares?
blind guy?
But someone took our friends and probably they're tied up somewhere in a corner.
Can we circle around the area?
Yeah, look for them.
No. Look.
I
for
get my weapons ready just in case.
Yeah, me too. I grab
Okay,
this.
you guys want to like circle around the edge of the camp, yeah?
And I tie my egg really hard to my belt.
Guys,
Yeah.
I could go in alone. No. To be honest, I could go in alone. Okay, I'm doing good. I could go in and you could wait and just catch them from behind. Like they could think I'm alone, they don't know where you are. They will be
I think that's dangerous.
facing me.
Do
She
they?
can take it.
Do they know that we? Do, I don't
They know we are more, but they would have to take the risk because if I discover it, their plan goes down. But in
That's
that
very
way,
true.
It depends on how dumb
they
they
would
are.
have to take the action in that case.
They may not be, but. Alright, Idris, go for it.
Take my sword. Glow upright. Who took Jenkins? And I go in and try to find him, and I make a lot of noise.
Jenkins! Jenkins!
Jenkins!
Right.
Where I'm
So
coming from. Where's the
let's
fire?
say
It's hard to
you
see.
guys are coming from like this side of the camp.
Okay.
So you can just swarm out around
Big lady.
and have a look
we
but
always
carefully,
be around
and I'm
here
just.
Okay.
If anyone touched him.
So you take those steps into the camp. Can everybody roll initiative, please?
Yes.
Mhm.
I hate this.
I love this.
I love this though.
I will kill them all. No one touches Jenkins.
Oh no, my phone is locked. It won't open. There we go.
I'm a little bit concerned for Hawk as well, but Jenkins.
Which one is yours? 11?
11, yeah. 11 plus 2.
A net 20.
6.
16.
Is 6 or 9?
She's furious.
17.
Sadly, I have a minus.
Where is
Wait.
the initial?
Well, 17.13, but.
I have a net 20, but I have a minus 92.
6,
No,
7, 8.
0.92.
What? Why?
I'm not dexterous. I'm wearing a big armor.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
You know, I'm big and I'm.
Don't show me your character sheet. That's secret stuff.
So,
Oh, yeah.
what did you get, Idris, altogether?
I got a net 20, but minus 1 for. Minus 0.92 to be correct.
Oh yeah, because it's got weird.
Yeah.
It wraps around weirdly.
I would say minus 1.
Yeah, that's you
Yeah.
got 19.
Makes sense.
She's really
Tell me what you have.
I got a 17.13.
Okay.
The point matters on the board.
Earned.
13.15.
Go on with it.
Okay.
8.14.
You're not that
Okay.
fast. Usually Idris would be behind you, but now she's furious. She's running in there. She's just rushing in there. She's like,
With the sword.
I don't care.
Let me check the others in the party as well. Give me a second. Kada.
Show your
Okay.
face, you fucking idiot. really, really bad mood. Really bad mood. They took Jenkins. There's no excuse for that.
They might just be hiding.
I don't care. It's their fault. That's the point where she's not joking.
Gimbal with a 22.
Oh wow.
Ooh, go boy.
Yeah. Short legs, fast mind.
and
He's
these
shooting his arrow.
two-
Man.
It is the best thing, Tommy.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, I know. Jaffa cakes are awesome.
Whoever invented them.
Although
Thank
these
you.
ones are like
Oh, it's
thin
like
and have orange.
you know.
all the way around. Wow.
How do you call it in English? The thing
They're
that's
like the
priest.
Jaffa cakes.
Jaffa
No,
cake.
no.
the thing.
communion wafer.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
communion.
How
This is my-
communion? How communion?
Communion wafer.
You just reminded me of that
Wafer.
sketch in
I don't know why
Mongrels.
it's called a wafer.
That's
But-
for me.
In Spanish is hostia, which is funny
Yeah, in
because
Germany and Hungary and too, Austria.
hostia, and it's funny because it's
It's like-
also
Like-
a swearing word.
But it's like a swearing word, and like te doy una hostia is like I give you like I punch you.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
When you blame something, it's like hostia.
Calling it a communion wafer reminded me of Mongrels, but you've probably never seen that.
And when
Could you roll for Jenkins as well, please?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Little Jenkins.
He might be able to fight.
just a 6 plus.
Plus
Go on,
3.
Lord Jesus.
So 9.16 for Jenkins.
So it's 9, yeah.
Yeah, 9.16. Okay.
he's over me.
He's not as furious as I
Oh, you were there.
Really imagine your
mad.
character
He will appear
like
from
this.
behind and slay the.
A really mad glowing lady coming in.
Okay. So first person up in the turn order is Gimbal.
He's shooting an arrow from
Yeah, Gimbal would have been going around the side. Hasn't spotted anyone yet. So just so you guys are aware, on this battle map, these kind of circles in the middle are like the giant mushrooms, and these are like how far the light extends from them. So if anyone is within that light, you can see them.
I am glowing, I'm walking.
Yeah, so you also have guy around you, but I'm not going to draw that every time.
I wish.
Basically,
do it.
this space around you.
Yeah. The ones directly around you.
Okay.
So yeah, Gimbal. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and
You're doing my light.
give him a
Good.
perception check.
Where's Kada?
Natural 1, he doesn't see anything.
Oh, I love him.
Where's Kada?
Kada, I think Kada would probably go around the other side to balance out a little bit. She's probably there. Okay, that's the end of Gimbal's turn. Idris, you're up next. Go.
I'm walking further in. I can see the fire.
You can see the fire, yeah.
I'm walking in and looking around and shouting for Jenkins.
Okay.
Oh, Shepherd Jenkins.
Jenkins! Oh yeah, there I am.
No, come on. It's better with just the squares.
There's my light.
Okay.
That's it. Really upset lady.
Yeah, let me do a quick roll.
With a great sword.
Giant.
Okay.
Where are you?
Can I have an
you can
intimidation?
hear the sound of someone who is clearly gagged, going like.
Oh, I turn around and walk up there. They touched Jenkins and they died. She's
But
really mad.
can she know where is that sound coming from?
Make a perception check.
It's a 9.
9.
Plus.
It's, yeah. What's
9.
just that? Okay, cool. It's difficult to tell. It seems to be bouncing off various different directions around you. There's various different like stone surfaces and stuff. It just sounds like it's coming from somewhere in the clearing.
I'm just walking around really mad.
Cool.
Glowing even more like you know this moment shortly before it explodes.
Vixen, it's your turn.
Okay, I'm going to take the opportunity to come up here, but not quite enter the light, just for the time being. And I'm going to bury a quick hole and pop my egg pouch in there and tell it just to be safe, yeah, and then cover it up again. I don't want it getting
The
crushed in
safest place
battle.
is near to me.
Well, I would love
Turn
that, but
everything.
if someone stabbed it, I'd be horrified. See, now you know.
I have it inside my armor. It can't happen.
I don't have armour like that.
Oh,
This is the weirdest action I've ever
I'm
I
sorry.
use my action to bury egg.
Very
Cool.
okay.
Yep. And I'm just gonna pat it down
I
and
can
make sure
keep
it's
it
safe.
in my armor if you
Be
feel
safe,
better.
little one.
I'm just dumb.
You're over there now.
Going
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
for the next time.
It could be
Yeah,
blood.
that would be great.
Put them all. I can have like a
Every
little
egg
belly
at different
bag
animal appearance.
underneath the armor.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to your
Animal
turn,
appearance
Vixen?
relating to your.
Kill them all.
I can't see them.
Search for them.
And I've only moved a little bit and I can't move anymore.
Tell me the direction. I get them.
I could sniff. Can I sniff again and see if I can pinpoint where they might be?
Yeah,
Okay.
make a investigation check again.
Awesome. Oh, come on, phone.
Maybe it's. Oh,
16.
That's not bad. I think it was +2, wasn't it?
Or +1, I'm not sure. Ah.
Oh, a genius.
What? What? What happened?
You
I
have to.
solved the problem.
Oh. What did you do?
You
That
just
was
moved
touching
there.
Oh. Ooh.
No,
Sorry,
Gimbal.
listeners.
We're taking the whole table apart.
Intimidate. No, what was it?
Investigation.
Investigation 1, so it's, it's just 17.
Still
17.
Oh,
Okay, you're able to pinpoint that the familiar smell seems to be coming from somewhere in this kind of direction.
Okay.
Tammy.
Okay. I literally, because at this point I know that they're in danger, right? I'm hollering to Idris. They're to the left of you!
I am ready. Charging in.
Alan, it is your turn.
Everyone's heard that, by the way, so everyone knows that they're there.
Yeah, so
I'm
I'm
Jump on them.
2, 3, 4, 5.
I will thunder smite them away.
6.
Smack them out of this plane.
And then I'm dashing around like here.
Oh, do you think it's the two bastards that are following
Yeah,
us?
I'm dashing around while like
I reckon so.
like walking. How do you say it? Like
Sneaking.
No,
Somewhere
yeah.
back.
not sneaking,
Joking.
but like this, grabbing a lot of things from the ground,
Oh.
like touching the ground and getting a lot of things.
Okay, cool.
So basically like a gorilla.
Yeah, like
You're doing a weird golem sprint and you're collecting flowers.
yeah, not flowers, but everything
Whatever
that's
you
useful.
find.
Yeah, like
You okay?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
oh god.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, that's your turn. Jenkins is tied up, so he can't do anything.
He can wriggle.
On this turn. Okay. So out from behind.
The mushroom.
Sorry. Out from behind the mushroom over here comes a humongous lizard man.
He's humongous.
You can see that one of his arms has been replaced with what looks like a metal claw.
Oh, our beloved
let's see.
friends.
Who's that?
1,
We haven't met him.
2,
Oh, we haven't met.
3,
I know
4,
him.
5, 6.
Come for me. Yes.
1, 2.
Come at me,
Closer,
bro.
closer. Yes.
He comes bounding towards you, like ripping through the ground as he does so, and just roars directly in your face.
I roar back. I think it's one of my features actually. I can stare down a hellhound.
Yep.
So.
Is it a humanoid?
I
Let
think
me-
they do come under that, don't they? Maybe.
Let me
But
check
it's
through
really
this
big.
one. Yes, this is a humanoid.
Okay, yeah.
But he's really big. Is he
He's-
as big as me?
He's bigger than
Bigger
he
than-
is-
Bigger than
Bigger
you.
than me.
Mm-hmm.
He is about the same size as he's about the same height as you, but he's about like twice as wide as you are.
He's hench. I don't know if you know
Yes.
that term.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Cut him
He
into
is
pieces.
swole.
He's swole.
Okay. That's the end of his turn. That brings it to Kada.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Kada can now see them.
See them.
They're not male or female. They're lizard.
Oh,
Them.
okay, that's my thing.
So let me see. Kada. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just about able to get up.
Sneaky.
Close. Get sneak attack damage because you are also
I'm
attacking. And going to go for attack with her. Which one's going to use?
You are really good.
Going to go with the rapier for this one. So let's see to hit.
Does she have a dagger as well? She could do it offhand as well. Even if she's using the rapier. Since she can use it with one hand. It's a light weapon.
Let me just check. She does, yes. But I'm not sure she would use that as her bonus action. Let me see. To hit.
Stab hide.
I think she'd use it as a bonus action.
15.
The sneaky attack.
Just hits. And damage wise. Yeah.
I would like to have a bonus because she's mad. A cut in half bonus.
Oh dear.
6.
I can say you like smashing like.
She goes in for a lunge with the rapier and does 13 damage.
Ooh.
a sneak attack.
Right in the heart.
The most
That is good.
the most broken thing you can have as a rogue.
I hope my
Does the sneak attack also can be used with the bonus attack, with the second hand attack, or it's only with the main?
I think you
Weapon.
can use the rapier.
You can use a rapier, yeah.
It's just-
It's with either attack on the turn. It's if you're doing it as a sneak attack, if it's like you are hidden and you're going for sneak attack, it's only on the first one. But she
Okay.
gets to use sneak attack again because she is
Next,
flanking.
okay.
How
broken is this?
So yeah, I think she is going to go for a second attack with the rapier. Not the rapier, sorry, with the dagger. So hit.
Yeah, come on, Kada, kick ass.
She misses with the second attack.
Okay, no, yeah. But the sneak attack is only once per the combat turn, I think. Yeah, okay.
I will check, but I'll check that between now and next session rather than right now.
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, so that's the end of Kada's turn. Alessio, it's your turn.
So I move. Yeah, how many?
You can move 6.
Every time I click a spell on this,
Yes, I guess it's the only thing I can do.
You can also dash and you can
Dash,
get
yeah.
up completely. I guess
If I
you can
dash.
get there.
Yeah, if you dash,
you
you
dash,
can
you
get
can
there.
get to any point around him.
Yeah.
So just take a position. Oh, she could also get here.
Yeah.
Oh,
if you get
yes,
to there, you
yes.
are flanking.
Flank him, yeah.
Definitely.
Then I have advantage, right?
Yep.
And
Okay.
can I attack? No.
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 Okay.
You could use your bonus action to rage.
Oh yeah, of course.
Rage.
Of course, I will rage. I will
Okay.
just do my
Go
nice
round.
Rip off his head.
Rage against the
You
machine.
can reach it. I can't reach his head, so she has to rip it off.
Rage against the half machine.
Oh, can I do something? Before I rage,
Mhm.
I just kiss my back where my
Aw.
egg is, and then I rage.
Oh.
Just imagine like
Yeah.
the motherly. Oh, and then.
My eggs.
It's like, love you, egg. I will protect the egg. Okay, yep, that is your turn, which brings us to. Let me see. Stepping up from behind. 1, 2,
Oh.
3.
You sneaky bastard.
And
Who is he?
she is going to
Oh,
use.
Just a hateful woman.
You will die next.
Victor's sister.
Yes, she is going to use Sanguine Spear.
Oh.
So-
What is that?
What is that?
Yeah, what does it do?
And miss.
She looks like a dead.
So what you guys see is she appears to be holding what looks like a very long, like halberd-like weapon, which appears to be formed entirely out of blood,
Ooh, that's
Um,
her blood soon.
and it's her blood to begin with,
Oh.
and it appears to be cracking with electricity. With her offhand, she points towards you, Elland, and from the tips of each of her fingers, like spears of blood rush all the way towards you, but just fall short of actually reaching you, and then retract back into her hand, and she's just like.
Damn, she gets some traction on that shit.
What's going on?
You have to kill her.
See that
This is some weird thing.
I might need to use a thing I
Action.
have.
and then
Use all of the things you have.
Yeah, but I don't really understand how it works yet. So
and with that, she's just going to stand there with her her halberd in both hands this time, and she looks around around the group, and she specifically seems to rest her eyes on Gimbal and Kada, just kind of looking back between the two of them, just like.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is the end of her turn. Next up, top of the round. Let me do a strength check for him. Natural 1. Hawk is still tied up.
Hawk.
Gimbal again. Gimbal is going to. He notices the woman and he is going to place Hunter's Mark on her, and then he is going to go for a bow attack against her. So let's see. And he misses. He fires an arrow to try and get an arcing shot towards her, but she is able to just kind of like duck out to the sides that goes over her shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is the end of Gimble's turn. Idris, it's your turn again.
Thunderous Smite. Can I decide not to push him away, just knock him prone? Like if I pointed at his hip.
Yeah, I'll say you can do that.
With
Advantage.
ankles.
Okay.
Come on, just hit.
I would say that if you.
It's a 10 plus 15.
15, that does hit.
So, let me just have a look fast. It does 2d8 slashing plus 3 plus 2d6 thunder damage, and I can re-roll 1s and 2s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to. That's 15, 18 plus 3 is 21. Am I right?
Yep, 21. And you want to knock him prone, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
So like I'm
You manage to
big
aim
sound.
and you like catch him on the back of one of his knees so as to like go down and then like down to the floor. He takes a hefty amount of damage. And you can see that he still seems to be looking pretty okay. Even after that. Okay.
no mercy for this one.
That's the end of your turn. Vixen.
Okay. I gotta see the length of this. Like how far?
60 feet.
I think. Yeah, that's too far. I'll have to dash. Okay. If I dash, how much more do I get if I dash?
You get
6
double.
more. Yeah.
Oh right, so I can just go wherever I like around him.
Yeah.
Then. I'm gonna go right there then.
Okay. When you do dash out into into view, she looks at you and she smiles and she's just like, "There's the half breed."
You look familiar.
Breed. Okay.
Don't
call her like
That's the end of your turn.
Oh, I can't talk to her.
You can shout back, yeah.
I shout. You look familiar.
I would rather be a half-breed than ugly.
Ellen, it's your turn.
She
Okay.
doesn't say anything. Okay.
Mhm.
Lady of few words. Die.
How's
Let me
Jackson
think.
doing?
So I can assume that the range of that thing she tried to do me is quite large. She
Can
reached.
you help us somehow? Can you be helpful?
I'm trying to land it without being helpful. Yeah, I don't want to focus this guy because you are on it.
Focus to the
We
lady.
just made
Yeah, but I don't
Yeah,
want.
she tried to go for you.
But I don't want to be killed by the lady. I want someone to tank the damage.
The problem is this guy just took over 35.
30, so, yeah.
I think 35 damage, and
But-
he's still looking okay.
But he's prone now, right?
Yeah, but he
Part
can
of that.
stand up, and he can use his movement to stand up and then attack. So if you could do
Alright.
something, I
So-
would appreciate it.
If he's prone, I can still command him though, right?
Yes.
If he fails the
Can I?
Yes.
the saving throw.
It doesn't make a
Let me
difference.
see.
You can
Target
halt
a
him.
creature you can see. Yes, because you don't need to roll to hit that one. So yes.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
have
awesome.
like a spells. If I can see the spells, I take less damage from them or something like this. Is
Your danger sense. You have advantage on dexterity saving throws.
Yeah,
if you
but-
see a spell coming towards you to dodge out.
But I don't want to target you. So can I ask, as a bonus action, can I ask Kimball who should I focus?
Oh.
Because he's the one who knows how to fight and he's been on different.
Ellen was like, oh my God, what should I do? What should I keep that?
Yeah, that's a plan.
If you ask him, he does a quick like scan of the battlefield and he's just like, the ladies have got that one. Focus on her.
Okay.
Okay. Then
So fair enough. Yeah. So it's like to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So 1, 2. Yeah. I come like here, and I just start like looking on my pockets, and I just take like a how do you call it? A limb? A limb is what are on the trees, like the branches. Or it's the same word.
Like a limb, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I just like whisper at this and break it, and it's not like a tree falling down, and I want to cast like the blindness to her.
Okay.
Oh.
Is that a Constitution saving?
Is Constitution
That's
saving
seven.
throw? Yeah.
Okay. What's the DC on that saving throw?
13.
13. Constitution.
Just 13.
It's really low. Yeah.
It succeeds.
Oh,
Um,
she blind?
She is blinded.
Great.
Yes, Ellen!
Fuck yes.
No slaps for you!
You're being useful.
First
and
time.
that is,
Helpful action.
Yeah.
The second.
Oh yes, it's
Yeah, second time.
He's
He's so proud.
being useful.
He's so proud.
You can see as she's looking around the battlefield, she's trying to make some tactical decisions. She's about to shout some orders to the lizard man, and then her eyes just white over, and she's just like.
Okay.
So yeah,
Great.
that's the end of your turn. That brings it to next up. Where's it gone? Next up is Jenkins. I'm gonna give him a strength saving throw to try and get out of.
You can do it, Jenkins. You can do it, Jenkins.
He's the best.
You can do it.
He's a real hero.
He is a real hero. He's a
We
born
write
hero.
songs about him.
He succeeds.
Yeah, he's a born hero. I told you.
So he's kind of wriggling against his bonds, and basically he just like breaks them out. He's just like
Nobody
He's
saw
the
it except
best.
Hawk.
the hawk is next to him, just like
That's funny.
yeah. He gives him a slightly weird wink, and Jenkins is just like. Okay. And his movement. He's gonna try and anti-hawk. Let me see. But he fails on that one.
Really?
He hulks his way out of his own ropes, and then goes and picks up his sword and tries to cut through the rope, and he's just like, yeah.
It doesn't.
He's trying to like saw through the rope, and Hawk is just like with a sword going back and forth.
Oh, he's the best and the worst at the same time.
And that is Jenkins' turn. That brings us back to Krellick. He is going to use
He's a real
his
hero.
movement to stand up. And what's he going to do? He's going to use his multi-attack. So he is going to make one attack against you, Idris.
Come for me.
He should have some whirling thing. We all stuck together.
18.
Maybe his.
Yeah.
Maybe. I won't admit to it.
You take 8 piercing damage.
That's okay.
How does he attack? Like with a
And-
sword or?
He has basically he has quote unquote a trident, but that's his claw. His hand is basically a trident.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And he's going to use his skewer. So you take an extra 6 piercing damage, and he regains 6 hit points.
Oh fuck, he's good train.
Oh no, that's really bad.
And now he's going to make his second attack. This one is going to be against Kada. That hits, and he does 8 piercing damage to Kada.
Come on.
That would be a tough one.
I'm waiting for my turn.
Come on!
This is the bardic inspiration. Come on! Rage
That
against the
brings
half
it
machine.
It's now Kada's turn. She is going to go for another
Advantage, not for-
rapier attack with advantage. And
Important.
sneak attack damage.
Really important.
Sneaky.
Yeah, she's a
That
sneaky
doesn't
one.
hit.
Oh, even
That does. So she makes her attack with a rapier. So that's does 6 piercing damage to him.
That's the stuff
Uh,
you just
plus-
took away from me.
Sneak attack damage. 7 piercing damage to him.
You rolled 1.
Yep. Oh, she gets 2d6 of piercing damage at this level. Sorry.
Sneak is
13
amazing.
13 points of piercing
Yeah.
damage.
Sneak is amazing.
It's so broken.
Okay.
Honestly.
He looks pretty rough after that hit.
Oh, good.
Hmm.
Wait, isn't he back to his normal? He gained 6 and lost 6?
He gained 6 and lost 13.
Oh, it
Ooh.
was 13. Yeah, true. There's a difference. A
Yes.
slight.
Yes, a slight mathematical difference
Yeah.
between 6 and 13. The more you know. So yeah, that's going to be the end of Kada's turn. Alessia, it's your
Let's go kill him. Cut off his head. Rip it off. Don't cut it. That's too nice. Rip it off.
Okay.
Andrew.
What's your nice side?
I
Getting dark
Take
for a
my
holy
Simar.
bint.
That's me. Okay, and I'm not doing myself.
And he's
I
up
just
for
take my Simar like this and
scimitar.
scimitar, sorry.
Okay.
And with all my anger of my rage, I just
You could have touched
Okay.
back.
roll to hit, so d20 plus your strength.
Come on, show us.
I'm just
Advantage.
smirking.
12
Idris at this
plus.
point. I'm just like, yeah, you're
Plus
loving
proficiency?
it. Girl, you're loving it.
12, yeah.
4,
Plus 4 plus 2, yeah, so it's 18.
18.
18, that hits.
Okay.
So roll damage for that.
How
So
do I roll damage
how
here?
much is the
Up,
scimitar? 1d4, 1d6 plus
and the rage counts.
And the rage counts, yep.
1d6 plus 4 plus 2. Yeah. 1 plus 4 plus 2, yeah, it's like 7.
Don't hit your head.
7, yeah. You deal 7 damage to him with your first hit,
Let's do your offhand.
and the second attack.
Second attack?
Does the second attack also get advantage?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, but it doesn't. 7.
It's gone forever.
7.
That's not enough.
No,
probably.
well, 7 plus 4.
Yeah, then roll it again. You have
Yeah,
advantage.
you have advantage.
Oh.
'cause you're
yeah.
flanking. So roll again.
6.
Okay, then
That's 7.
7 plus.
7 plus 4, 11.
11 plus. No, you don't hit with the second attack.
Oh, never mind.
Sad.
But your ancestors do crowd around him,
Ooh.
and in all the spaces that aren't currently occupied by people, there are now ghosts doing a hacker.
That's
It's
great.
amazing.
We're all really confused, but we're slowly getting used to it.
Yeah, I don't mind
Slowly
it.
it's like, yeah, okay, that's okay.
At some point, you will have to dance with us.
You can see at one point, like, the ghosts are crowding around him, and he tries to, like, stamp on one of them, and his foot just goes through, and he's just like, fucking ghosts.
You should be
Oh,
really,
he has
you
some
should be really
intelligence,
at
doesn't
him
he?
because he perverted the nature. He has like a
Mhm.
mechanical arms.
Yeah, but it's not undead. It's okay.
Ah, okay.
Mechanical stuff is more like it's an art to create something.
Okay.
Like it's man-made, but it's created as an art
Mhm.
form, so it's fine.
And
for
he's
her.
still part human, well, I mean, life, so.
Yeah, as long as he's not undead, it's all good.
But the blood thing is really.
That's weird. Yeah, that's
Okay.
really weird.
It's her turn, so she is going to.
She blind.
1,
She can't do
2,
it. She's running next against the wall or
3,
something.
4. She's going to go to there, and she is going to make a halberd attack against you.
I need to go to the toilet.
She's fucking blind.
You can do it. Just
She'll
evade
probably
it.
fail. She gets disadvantage in her actions. She's making
Yeah,
it
she
particularly
misses.
Cool.
Ellen
She
is
runs
starting
up
to
and-
dance like the
I just.
ancestors.
Hmm.
He's just joining.
You dab out of the way of her attack.
A true modern bard.
Fucking millennials.
You hear her under her breath as that happens. She's just like, did you just dab? I fucking hate bards. Okay, that's the end of her turn. Oh no, Bonus action,
Oh,
Sanguine
no.
Sphere. Misses.
And she has to do a constitution check every turn to cure the blindness.
Yes, she does. Thank you for reminding me.
Don't remind me.
I mean,
Ellen! Slaps Ellen.
let's be fair. Let's be fair, come on. What is smashing this guy?
12. So it doesn't. No, she's still blinded.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
While she's there, stab her in the eyes, it'll be permanent.
I would say if we have to like aim with the weapon, I would say it's disadvantage for us because we are trying to be fancy, but yeah.
Yeah, if you're trying to be like, I'm gonna cut your eyes out, I'll be like, it's a bit tricky.
Oops, that was your nose.
Get your nose! Please do that.
Oops, your ear. Wait, don't move.
Okay.
I really love this carpet. It's so soft.
I know, there's carpet in the bathroom. I was like, oh, it's luxury.
Gimbal is going to bonus action hide. So stealth check.
Is he a rogue or is
Natural
he a ranger?
20.
It's Ranger.
Both. He has
Oh, he's a multi-class.
he's multi-class.
Mhm.
And he natural 20 on his stealth check, so
Sneaky
he just like
one.
Disappear.
disappears in some undergrowth, and then he is going to make a attack against her.
Are we supposed to know he's dual class, or have you just like let slip a secret of his that he didn't want us to be
It's
aware
not that
of?
secret. He's been like
Okay.
pretty much from the beginning.
I know, I guess
Yeah.
that, but I wonder if he wants
He
to
has-
sort of keep that under wraps.
He's
been
openly
quite
spoken in
cagey.
thieves' cant in front of you before.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was pretty sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't just sure if he's a ranger. I was
Yeah.
sure he's a thief, a rogue, but
I mean, are the classes really that important? I mean, it's like
Anyway, it's interesting to know.
it's like a job. I mean, it's like
it's
Yeah, but it's like how diverse are you with your jobs if you have more
yeah,
than one?
yeah, you're right.
Okay. One plus 2. 14 damage. Just stacking all that damage on her. Favoured enemy and hunter's mark and sneak attack.
Oh yes, that's a lot.
She takes
How much?
14 damage.
I would have thought it's more. I made 21.
He
damage.
rolled a natural 1 on his sneak attack damage.
Oh, okay. Because that's a little bit.
Let's see, so yeah, an arrow just arcs seemingly out of nowhere and just hits her in the shoulder. And he's no, he's still hidden because she's blinded. Okay, Idris, it's your turn.
Attack. Great sword attack.
Okay.
Nothing special this time. 14 plus 5 is 19.
That hits.
Still 2d8 plus 3. And reroll 1s and 2s. That's a reroll. That's a reroll. That's a 7. 7 plus 5 is 12.
12. He takes 12 damage. Okay.
Sneak attack. I have the roll now. I'm really picky with this. Once per turn you can
I
deal
love
an
this
extra
rerolling.
2d6. So once per turn.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to do with your turn?
I growl at him.
Okay. He's too busy being confused by people doing a hack to growl.
Oh, I joined them.
That will be
Bonus
great.
action hacker. Okay.
Slowly bumming.
I'm
getting
a
it.
scary haka, like you add one of the movements of the haka is like
Okay, then I'm joining them.
Nice.
Absolutely joining them.
I kind of imagine like a
Hawk's
rap
turn.
battle with all the people like around you.
Okay.
Is there
Hawk,
been
in the
one
middle of
your
trying to get his
ancestors?
bindings cut off him, just goes like, "Nah," and then he just casts Flame Blade and just burns them off.
Oh, love him.
He's the best.
And
Yeah.
he jumps out from behind the the mushroom and just shouts, "On guard!"
I love him.
So let me see. He is going to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He gets to there, and then he sees giant lizard on the right, weird woman on the left, and he's just like,
Go for the woman!
With the Kill Bill music of the.
action, so he's still standing there.
Hawk still standing better than he ever did.
Vixen, it's your turn.
I was going to use command, but I kind of feel it's wasted at this point as he's slowly dying already.
You can do something.
Because I'm hulked out, do I get an advantage to my mace wielding, or do I not?
No.
No. Okay, so I just use my mace anyway. All right. I'm just going to mace him, and I'm going to slightly aim for the top of his shoulder, right around the arm with the claw bit.
I'm pretty sure you have advantage on the roll anyway.
Yeah.
They're not so. Yeah, that's flanking. He's being flanked.
Yeah, cool.
He's surrounded.
19.
By definitely. Yeah.
Man
Is
up.
it a crit?
Okay.
Is a 19 already a crit?
Yeah, probably because it gets +3.
No, but
No.
the
No,
crits
no.
are natural 20s.
Yeah.
Roll again because if
some
maybe you
weapons
get
have
if you get a
19.
20.
No, 19.
fair enough.
Sorry, Gimbal.
But some weapons crit on 19.
Not
Or is it
nice.
just part-timer?
That's
3.
3 damage.
Yeah.
Okay. It's bludgeoning damage. Yes.
Yeah.
Check.
Ding.
That's great. Like the metallic arm.
Okay.
Dying.
Yeah, I do that. It's a common thing.
You hit him, and your mace bounces off the chest armor that he has, like his natural chest armor.
Yeah.
He only takes one point of damage.
Oh. So he's then resistant.
You can
to
join still the dance.
Damn it, I should have used command.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you'd like to do for turn?
Cuss him.
You can
I
join
mean,
the
that goes
dance.
without saying, pretty much. I just tacitly assume that's
I
what
can do
Vixen
what?
is
You
doing.
can join the dance.
I can join the dance. Yeah, right, I join the dance. Sorry, why not?
Okay.
I love it.
Bonus
Vixen's
action.
there doing all this.
Okay.
Everybody
it's
around
your
is
turn.
feeling more irritated.
I like that plan. I just take the rapier and like cut his eyes, her eyes.
Okay. Make make an attack roll with disadvantage. If
I like that. I mean, I can do
So
that.
it could be.
Oh, what was that?
Double 7. 7 plus 4, 11.
Doesn't hit.
Obviously.
You're just waving your knife in front. You can't see me.
That was the plan.
He's like testing. Is she really blind? Are you sure she's blind?
I just
Oh, she
something
can
with
feel
blind
it's a
people. Yeah.
It's, you know that you're aiming. You're thinking she's blind. It's fine. You go to attack, and she just hears like through the air, and she's just like just dodging out of the way of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I should.
That's so funny.
You will do it.
I have to cast all the big things. So great.
Anything else?
No, it's okay.
You can join the
Okay.
dance.
No, I
Yeah, everyone's in the dance now.
It is now Jenkins' turn.
Oh, Jenkins! Yeah, Jenkins. How far can you run? 6.
Yeah.
Can he
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
it there?
Yes,
yeah.
you can.
Go Jenkins.
And with advantage, right? Sheets. He is swinging at him plus 5 as well. So that's 16.
Hits.
Took me forever.
It's okay.
1d8. Oopsie. Was that a roll?
You fumbled it. It's fine. Roll again.
You're like the kindest thing.
That was not an intentional roll.
That it wasn't actually. Okay, 8 damage.
8 damage. Okay.
And he joins the dance. He's just irritated. He's coming, and there's a whole group of dancing, and he feels awkward, and he's like, "Okay, I will just imitate it."
He's doing like the slow one, like.
Looks around if it looks okay. If everyone
We definitely have to have a victory dance. That would be super cool.
I'm just sort of shrugging Jenkins like when in Rome.
He's looking at one that's next to him and be like, And he's just like,
Like
I
shuffling.
love it. I
Oh,
love it.
dear.
okay.
Is this
The,
lizard guy not
the next
completely
heroes, I see.
confused?
the lizard guy is looking very bloody right now, and
Oh.
also extremely confused.
Oh, dear.
Managed to go through
His turn, and he is going to use.
Right now,
Yeah.
it must look like a crowd around him.
Yes, like
Just all dancing, like just all celebrating his pain.
He's going to multi-attack, and he's going to try and hit you, Idris.
Alright.
But he is at disadvantage because he is being confused by ancestors.
And us dancing. He doesn't know what the frick he's walked into. This poor lizard dude.
what are these people?
He's thinking, I got resurrected for this shit.
Does a 20 hit?
Ooh,
Let me
does it?
think.
I maybe a slight,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit.
But
Yes.
Just like
is it natural?
no, that was 15 plus 5.
Good day.
No, I
Yeah.
have a pretty
Hard
upper.
nut to you, yeah.
That's why I said I will put the egg in there and it's safe.
Hard nut to crack on the outside and the inside.
You
It's
take
pretty armor.
5 piercing damage.
Still
and,
okay. I'm still good.
Another 3 piercing damage, and he gets back 3 hit points.
Is he undead?
Nope.
I thought he was resurrected.
No.
Oh.
He's not undead.
He was struck by
I missed
thunder, but
Oh, he was fine.
Yeah. He was
Okay.
he was hit by thunder, knocked out, and then slightly blown up.
Do you can get hit by thunder?
Well, he was
What
hit
is
by
my
lightning.
thunder?
Okay.
yeah. I mean,
So yeah.
Pokemon thunder.
And then he's going to make his
Still
second
light.
turn.
My thunder smite is probably a thunder with smite.
Well, I would expect your thunderous smite to be more of a sound wave when it
It
hits.
is more sound.
Yeah, so it's more like a boom pulsation rather than.
14. Does
No,
that hit?
no, a 14 doesn't hit.
Okay, so after hitting you with that first attack, he tries to go in for a second, and
Ting.
you're able to just like knock it out of the way.
He scratched my armor.
That's
Unforgivable.
He lobbed a little button off your.
Unforgivable.
A single buckle is now undone.
Unforgivable.
terrible.
Scratch Jenkins and scratch my. No. Enough. Enough of this.
Oh, that's so funny.
Okay, that is the end of his turn. Brings us to Kada.
14 wouldn't even hit the Jenkins.
Okay, that joins and ends, right?
Oh yeah,
She should.
Obviously.
Yeah,
She's been
Kada's
dancing this
totally
whole time.
dancing.
Okay.
She is just dancing while simultaneously with one hand stabbing with her.
Go on, Kada.
With advantage.
I wish Rabbit was here.
That hits. So D8. 8 plus 2d6. 8 plus 6.
I think I have
14.
to do a gift for the
Um,
dancing ancestors.
In this moment, she's in the middle of doing a hacker, and she crouches down and leaps up and just skewers him through like under the head. Just
Oh,
So
Kada! Why is Robin not here to see how badass she's being tonight?
and Krellick is dead.
Yeah, can. Well, no, we won't yet because there's still another one to worry about.
Damn.
I was going to say, can I loot his corpse? But we're still in initiative.
What was the name of the guy? Garlic? No.
Garlic.
No, how was it?
Krellick.
Okay.
Garlic bread. It's a better name.
Rest in peace, Garlic.
It's the better name.
Garlic.
Unless it's your turn.
Okay, I move. I move towards the lady, and all my ancestors just turn to her.
Yeah.
It's like, and we will all running through her.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
One of them is moonwalking over there.
You can still make attacks.
20.
Gets there and goes.
No, this one. This one.
Why? Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
with advantage because you're flanking.
Oh, so
roll
can I
that.
have another one? So I would like to roll both.
So roll twice because you have.
Oh dear.
Ooh, sorry.
18.
20.
Wait, were you
That's
here or
an
here?
It's a
20.
crit.
That's a crit. So
How much damage?
Oh gosh. No, wait, you were
roll,
here,
roll,
right? No, you were
roll
here.
your damage.
Which one is?
The double damage of the
It's a
thing.
D6.
D6.
The
Yeah.
square one.
Yeah, this one twice. And plus 4 and plus 2. So 10 plus 4, 14
14.
plus 2, 16. The rage damage is on the crit. I know that the bonus damage is not on the crit, but it's
Yes,
still rage.
it is.
So
Yes.
16
Doubles.
damage.
So
Yep.
so 18.
She doesn't look hurt.
If the rage
She's still looking fine.
if the rage is in the damage, it's 18. If
I have
the rage is
another attack.
Yeah, an offhand
Okay.
attack.
Ooh.
Yep. Make your second attack.
Let's go for it.
Gosh.
That's a 11, 13.
13.
Plus
13.
plus
13 does not hit.
But it's
But-
plus
plus
is it plus
something.
comment?
Plus what, sorry?
Plus 6.
13. That does hit.
Why the fuck are you so broken?
She's strong.
Okay, and now those two.
1.
Just
One.
the one.
Only 1 because
Yeah.
it wasn't a crit.
This is
1.
my favourite, grabbing the
1
photo.
plus 2 rage damage, so 3.
Sorry, it's not you all.
And the ancestors are now also encircling her. She is very confused because she's still blind, and now all she can hear is
She's nice.
happening?
Well, she's gonna think more people are there to attack her. So
Yeah.
she's blind. She don't know.
Okay.
She don't know the ghosty form.
She must feel scared because it's like
She
a
ain't
crowd
scared. She's
around.
a cold-hearted bitch. She
She
doesn't
has
know
that.
fear. No, she's Victor's
Let's
sister.
see.
So
She's
it's
got it in for us because we killed her brother.
1 without the bonus.
Roll her
She's got it in for me, for you know, most of all, and I don't even know why.
Her brother was as bad as her.
Okay, she regained her sight at the top of the round.
I liked Victor. I didn't want him dead, but you know,
Uh,
you all decided that was what we needed to do.
He was a sexy guy, right?
It wasn't that. He bought me a drink.
Between Victor
You
and
tried to
Hawk.
save him. You tried your best.
I
to save him.
did. No one, you
It's
know.
not your fault.
Well, she hates me for it, so.
So
I think I got the finishing blow on
She
Victor,
will
which
never
might be
know.
why.
She
I can't
will
remember.
never know you tried to save him.
She is going to cast darkness, centered on herself.
It's magical darkness.
Yep.
Anyone with devil's sight? Huh?
I
Devil's sight?
I've got guiding bolt. Will that help?
have dark vision, but I don't
No,
know
you
it's...
still can't see through the magical darkness.
No. No one can see
so-
except devils.
She casts darkness. I will mark this one because it will be a lasting effect.
Let's
Thank
see
you.
if I can brighten up magic darkness. That's a tough darkness.
Okay, so
Block out her eyes.
2,
Oh.
3.
So that means we can't see anyone.
Yep. Centered on herself, everyone inside that, you just see what looks like ink black shadows just go.
So we
around
can
her.
just see a big black cloud.
Yeah.
And you can't see her, even though you're in the circle.
No.
You are at.
No one.
Yeah.
At a disadvantage.
You're at disadvantage.
Well, does Hawk have devil's sight?
Let me check.
Ooh, yes, does he?
Or can he do anything to have devil's sight? Or can see through magical
As
darkness?
a tiefling.
Magical darkness is really tough.
He still has to make a perception check, but he can do so with advantage.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, so she casts that, and she is going to attempt to make a break for it. So both of you will get attacks of opportunity against her.
Okay.
So
Maybe
both
you
of
can
you
get
make,
her down.
Let her
both of
get
you make your
away.
attacks.
No.
1.
Oh no.
But you can see that's
Uh,
plus 6.
No, because he can't see he's
17.
in darkness and he's just got a natural 1. He could hit anybody.
Yeah, I mean, natural 1 is fail always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got 17, so that's
It's a bad hit on whoever it hits. Don't hit Hawk.
17, that does hit. Make your damage roll.
what is it? 1d6.
6. Yeah.
But she gets a plus. You have to roll on the table.
1 plus 2 rage damage. She takes 3 damage, but she does still get to make a break for it. Okay, so she
Which direction?
1, 2,
Oh.
3, 4, 5, 6. She gets to there.
And Gimbal can see her.
Yes.
Even if she's in darkness, or is
She
the
has
darkness
left.
just
She's
there?
left the darkness. The
Right.
darkness is sent to
It
her.
was like a small
Okay.
bomb, something.
Yeah.
Well,
Dash,
Yeah,
Gimbal,
possible.
dash.
And
Actually, he won't need to.
that
He can just walk
is-
up there and hit her.
Now it's now Gimbal's turn.
Yeah, walk up and hit her, Gimbal.
Come on, Gimbal.
just shoot.
You
1,
can
2,
do
3,
it.
4,
Oh,
5,
you walked up
6.
to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's going to try and stop her from leaving rather than
Mhm.
trying to just shoot at her if she does. So let me see. What does he have?
Does he try to grab her?
Yeah, can he just like take his little tiny form and just sort of attach himself to her? Be like, hey!
To the leg, like.
Tickle her with his beard.
Should we not kill her and ask her? Should we not keep her alive to have some questions to her?
Stab first, ask
Yeah.
questions later.
That's correct, but if she's dead, we can't ask questions.
Yeah.
We can.
Oh, don't try to do it.
oh, but we can, Idris.
Oh, don't try to do it.
Yes. Plus 1
It will be dangerous. You know the 21 damage.
Okay.
Is it 21 damage on your natural kill?
Don't know.
Think about it.
He does 5 damage to her with his short sword, and it's just like, no, you're not getting away.
Oh,
Can-
so he's shady.
Cut the talons? No.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
That
Okay.
thing.
Idris, it's your turn.
How do you call that thing here?
Ankle?
No. This.
These.
Oh, that's nasty. That's nasty.
The Achilles
You can't
The Achilles
fall.
heel,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Although
can't
it's technically still an ankle because your heel would be on the bottom of your foot.
fall.
but yeah. Always bugged me. Don't worry.
I don't care about it. I walk up to Jenkins and look at him if everything is right. I want to check him.
Really?
Yes, I don't care about her.
Okay.
In that case,
No,
she's
right.
more
Are
interested
you
in.
like trying to check that he's not like been hurt?
Yes.
Make a
that's-
medicine check.
Because she's in that point, she's not really interested in. She wants to check first, and then she will turn around and look.
Fair enough.
But first of all, the important things. Medicine is a plus. It's a -1, so it's a 14.
14. You can tell he has a bad lump on the back of his head where presumably he got knocked out, but otherwise he seems to be okay.
Good. I think it's the touched him.
Okay.
Turns around.
Kill the woman.
Top of. Okay, moving on. It's now Hawk's turn.
Go for it. Go
Uh,
for it, Hawk. Go for it, Hawk.
He is going to. He has to make a perception check to see which direction she went, but he does have advantage. Yep, he can see which way she went. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Runs up and he's going to make an attack with Flame Blade.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay. And he
It's
misses.
actually the old lady.
Let's not worry about her right now.
She's just.
She's still tied up.
Okay.
She's too weak and feeble to undo her
Yeah, that's
things.
okay for me.
She
I don't
likes-
care
likes
as long
to
as
be died.
she's around and she's.
Well, they've already killed her. Either way,
Okay.
we'll find out.
She just like to be in died.
We need her. She has the plans. You know, she has the connections.
Okay. Hawk runs up and tries to slice at her with the flame blade. He's shouting something in Infernal, and then he misses.
Oh.
Can I understand it?
You don't speak Infernal.
Oh,
No,
does Kate
wait, which one do I?
understand
Kato understands.
it? Does she laugh? Does she make any face?
She seems to be looking at it just like, what?
Oh, it's a pistol.
Oh, am I? Okay.
That's it.
Okay, Vixen, it's your turn.
Okay, I'm gonna make a dash towards her. Oh wait, do I still have to check where she is because of the fog in the way?
Yes, you still have to.
Okay, well,
Perception check.
Yeah.
Which you're at disadvantage to do so because you're in
Yeah.
darkness.
Wisdom. Oh, that's a good one.
+4.
You have to do it with disadvantage because you're
Oh,
in
yeah.
darkness.
yeah.
Again, everything higher than that is good.
Oh no!
That's not the one that I'm talking about.
Nice.
Now 5 is under 8.
Okay.
Okay.
You're pretty sure you know where she went.
Okay.
So are you going to try and run after her?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Where can I go?
So
Go
you're
around
pretty
it.
you're pretty sure you think you know where she went,
Uh-huh.
and you go
And you got there.
that
Yeah.
direction.
Oh, damn it! Really?
And then you're like,
But can I see her now?
you can now see her, yes.
That's fine.
Um,
That worked out.
and you've used your movement. You still have a spell. Would you like to?
Oh wait. Well, it depends how far she is.
You can use some lightning bolt or something.
It's like 60 feet or something like that.
Yeah, but each square's like a foot, isn't it?
5 feet.
5 feet. Oh, that's even worse.
You still have like 2 squares of movement. So if you'd like to move closer, you can do so by 2 squares.
Yeah, but I still don't think that gives me enough. Hold on. No, that gives me more than enough. I could probably do it from here. Hold on. Oh, just. Yeah, fuck it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to use command now that
Okay.
I can see her.
Yep.
And I am going to yell,
Really hard.
GROVEL!
Oh, that's
Okay.
also good.
Wisdom saving throw.
I'm going to cast it at level 2 as well.
Okay.
It didn't really.
I believe the only benefit to second level is you can target an additional person.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So
Oh,
it's
okay,
not
then. No
really
worry.
worth it.
Good target hawk.
I mean, if you want.
They can both sit on the floor and cry together. No, it's fine.
Maybe later.
No, just her. So,
You would probably laugh about it.
target falls prone and ends its turn.
Oh, a sleepy one.
A bit tired. I'm going to check my shift. For
Yeah, she needs to do a wisdom saving throw. She's
Uh,
probably going to be okay.
What is your spell save DC?
Oh, good point.
Spell
It's on your
12.
spell thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so she needs to make a DC 12 saving throw.
Oh, that's not that high. What is
The
that?
spellcasters are really bad at the beginning.
Natural 1.
She is in the pit of despair.
She immediately just like gets down on the floor. It's just like, and you can see in her eyes, she's just like,
I like it.
okay. Ellen, it is your turn.
She ain't
You
going
can go for
nowhere.
eyes.
Can I try to get out of the fog? Well, the fog, the...
You can just step out of it.
Yeah, you can step. If you're not trying to go in any particular direction, you can just.
No, I just want just get out of there.
Okay.
Where are you going to go?
Like,
Back up.
backwards, yeah, like...
You're
Where he
absolutely
came
right.
from.
And you can now see. She appears to be.
He's, like,
just
coming out of
on
the
the
fog.
ground.
And she's there going,
Go
So,
for the eyes.
yeah, nani.
You do a flip.
I'm quite good on acrobatics, so I will come here.
Okay.
And what is she carrying with her?
Just take
You're
away
going to
stuff.
pilfer it while she's still alive?
Why not?
I want to
Silence
be
not
how
okay,
safe I am being close to her, basically.
Up close, make an Arcana check.
Oh,
That's
I'm nothing.
tough one.
18
Oh, that's
Oh.
good. You should be intelligent.
plus,
enough.
no, I'm plus 0, but it's okay.
That's good enough.
You can see that she's holding what looks like a halberd, a two-handed spear weapon, but you also, looking at it, realise that it is formed out of blood. And when you do that, you remember, you have seen that a few people have been trained, like special task forces of people in like Sarkanicles force have been trained to be blood hunters, and she is one of them. The weapon is made of her own blood.
She a nasty bitch.
Okay.
Don't even ask where the blood's from.
Do I know how does she create that weapon, or?
All you know is it's something that they get trained in how to do, and something that all of the blood hunters can do. And some of them have, like, everyone has their own individual weapon that they make from their own blood.
Okay. And is she carrying anything like small
Gold.
packages or no? I want to.
She seems to have like, She just seems to be wearing like her normal armor. If she has any other possessions, you assume that they are not kept on her person right now.
Okay.
What are you looking for?
I don't know. Maybe like cutting the original point of the weapon. I don't know, like some magical item I can we can just destroy and.
Like
Yeah, but it's
that.
okay. I will get there
Go
and
for
like
the eyes.
kick her like a little bit. No, not really aggressive.
Kick her a little.
There is
Yeah, like.
there is one thing that she is carrying. On her side, she appears to have like kind of a series of pouches, each of which seem to have glass vials in them full of blood.
Oh, that's it. Break them.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I want to break
Kick
that.
the glasses.
Kick the glasses.
No, not kick them, but can I get them like safely and just
To take them away.
like throw them away wide open?
Make a dexterity check.
Oh, don't play with blood magic.
No,
You,
no,
you,
you
fr-
cannot.
you,
Okay, yeah.
you just pat her on the back. There.
Like, good girl.
You reach for the pouches and end up just getting like a slight like little bit of handsy on them. And she's just
Okay, yeah, that's my turn.
okay.
I would say that's sexual harassment, but okay.
It's Jenkins' turn.
Go, Jenkins!
Yeah, we will dash up.
Team up her.
6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Just
and an
close it.
attack.
To attack.
How can he attack after a
Oh,
dash?
dash, yeah. I
Okay.
forgot.
How can you attack an unarmed? Well, not
No,
disarmed. Yeah, like one that's not opposing resistance.
She hurt him.
Yeah.
There's a difference. There's.
He's got a bit of the bloodlust about him.
Oh, Jenkins, I love you.
This makes it Kada's turn. She sees the ball kind of like congregating around her, and she's just like walks over to Krillic and starts looting the body.
Yeah, seems good. What does she get? What does she get?
I will tell you at the end of the fight. Alessio, it's your turn.
I am still on the fog, so I guess
Step out.
I want to go out of it.
Mm.
Like,
Okay, yeah. You can take a step kind of backwards out of it.
yeah. Here?
That's deeper into it.
Oh.
No.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
this is-
No, it's outside,
sorry,
but
that's
it's
the-
the other
That's
side.
the fire.
Sorry.
The other side outside.
Yeah.
And I guess I walk through the group of them.
Okay.
Walk through the noises of a sexually
6.
harassed woman.
And I can actually dash. Yeah, we'll just stay there.
Okay.
Like over the shoulder of everyone, I think.
Yeah, just looking over Jenkins
With all your ancestors.
with all the ancestors around.
How long does it?
It's
Last
like about an hour or so.
Her turn.
You could have a meal with them. Yeah, we need to sit down and have a
She's
drink
going
with
to
your
wake-
ancestors.
She's going to wake up and destroy us all. I mean,
Not for a while.
like,
She will be grovelling for a while. I'm pretty sure we can get some good hits in and kill her before she cannot.
Is it not just lasting for one round?
They
She hasn't had a turn yet.
rate your
And everyone's already
ancestors.
there.
right.
Yeah, that's right.
She is
Chris
going
can
to
also do that.
cast.
It's 1 minute. In 1 minute, it's like how many turns?
10.
Oh.
So,
She is going to cast Arms of Hadar.
Who?
Oh.
She
Held
can't
prone.
yet. She's grovelling. She's prone. But she
Oh
still do
yes,
that.
she has to
She
repeat
has
the
to-
wisdom saving throw. doesn't
Yeah.
She passes it.
She still can't do it for one round, so.
She passes it.
Fuck!
If she
Back on the
gets
floor, bitch. I'm gonna fuck you up.
We're being children friendly today.
We're not being, are we? It's because we're all in person. All the language is gone.
Yeah, you don't have to be standing to cast this one. So she's going to cast Arms of Hadar.
We're stupid.
up. Do I know that spell?
Getting that
7.
close.
Make an Arcana check.
How is it called? Hands off?
Arms of Hadar.
Arcana plus 2 is still just a 9.
Looks like some warlock stuff. That's all you can tell. So everyone who is within 10 feet of her, you have to make a strength saving throw with a
Okay.
DC of 14.
And
Yeah.
I'm dead.
Yeah, that's a nasty spell that will hurt.
Oh, in a 20. Jenkins is out of range.
Mm-hmm.
Jenkins is fine.
I have a 9.
You fail.
You fail. Ah no, it's a strength. You have
Yeah,
a
you
plus
should
something.
have
Plus
3
4.
at least.
+4.
Yeah.
You succeed.
Yeah, you're fine.
4.
I'm the worst character of the party.
No,
Paul
you're
is
not.
scrawny, but he's still fine. And Gimbal.
Ooh, Gimbal.
Gimbal is fine.
Oh,
Okay, so who failed the saving throw? It was
only Ellen.
only Ellen.
That's
Ellen,
right.
you are pushed back 10 feet and knocked prone, and you take 7 points of necrotic damage.
Oh god.
And
Zero
everyone
necrosis.
else, you just take 7 points of necrotic damage.
Yeah.
Do I hit with the thing here?
Nasty.
The what? Sorry.
Here's like the.
It's the mushroom.
Yeah, you get knocked back into the mushroom, and then like.
So you're like held into the mushroom smush.
Yeah.
You're covered in mushroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
And she looks up at all of you, and she knows that she's dying. She's just like she just spits blood in the face of one of you whoever's nearest. And she's like,
Jenkins. She's bat blood in the face of Jenkins. Idris, I saw it.
Yeah, this is like
The eye bulges.
She spits blood in the face of Jenkins, and just says, "Spider Queen, take me." And then she stabs herself in the face,
Coward.
Oh.
and she is dead.
Can I run over and loot her corpse? Because I'm interested.
Sure.
Yeah. What she got?
Okay.
I clean Jenkins.
She has
Terrible.
You have to move
Buy
them.
lots of.
she has 30 gold.
Ooh.
Um,
Right, hold on.
Reach,
hold on.
reach.
Sorry.
We share the money.
Wait, turn order. Right,
Okay, I can sit
30
back down.
gold.
Do we share money or how does it
Huh?
work? in this-
No. I might if someone asks nicely. Oh gosh, that puts my gold up quite a lot. What's
You can buy as a.
what's 3 and 7?
Wait, 30 gold. He can buy
What's
a
3 and
horse.
7?
10. 3 and 7 is 10.
3 and 7 is 10. Oh yeah.
For a good meal and a good rest, that will be great for you.
So yeah, she's got 30 gold, and she appears to be wearing scale mail armor.
Yay.
Can you word?
Probably not, but I can use it.
Yeah, it's of a size that any of you except Alessia could wear it,
Okay.
and you wouldn't want to anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want it to.
Scale mail armor. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you send me the stats for that later?
Yeah, body.
Lovely.
And you find 10 vials of blood.
10 vials
We should throw this.
of blood.
I don't like this type of magic around
Yep.
us.
Okay.
Me too.
Sorry.
We should burn her maybe.
We should what?
Burn her.
No, leave her. She's done.
Think so?
Yep.
I will trust your religion thing, but
From Krillik's corpse, you guys are able to get.
Not Kada.
Kada is able to get. He doesn't have any gold on him,
Oh.
but she is able to detach the metal claw,
Ooh.
and she gets a trident.
Could she stick her hand in it and use it like kind of like a glove or something? And
I mean, it's like a matter of
Wolverine.
magnitude bigger than she is. Like,
can she
she'd be able
stand
to
in
wear
it?
it as like a suit, maybe.
Wow.
But she's able to detach it to the point where it becomes basically a large trident.
Could our giant lady use it?
If they wanted to.
we should use maths on that to see what's the
Yeah,
damage.
you're probably better off with the stuff
With
you
the
have
two.
because you get the 2 attacks right now.
Yeah, but drain. All right.
The drain is not
That's just
inherent
part
to
of
the
him.
weapon. That's inherent to him.
Yeah.
She can keep it, and at some point, if I need it, just
Or we can
throw
just
it to
sell
me.
it.
I don't know how she's going to carry it, but we'll just have
yeah.
her go hauling it around.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can
Well,
just-
if
Okay.
it's like a trident, it's just.
All right, in this downtime, I'm running back to my egg.
Cool.
And I'm digging it out and I'm holding it close and going, I'm sorry, little egg.
You guys are able to quickly go and if you drop the eggs somewhere, you're able to go and retrieve them, and they seem to be completely undamaged.
I still have mine.
Yeah, everyone's still wearing theirs. I'm the only one not.
And it's safe.
Mine's always
I haven't
in
had
the
any.
armor
Oh,
space,
no, I
you
have
know,
had.
like in the
Yeah,
safe.
inside. Yeah.
I'm going to be able to use my scale armor to protect it.
The armor.
Make it warm with the fluff.
Yeah, I don't really need it. I just realized it's less effective than my chain mail.
The scale mail. Yeah.
So I don't need it.
We
We can sell it.
So yeah,
If you want to.
It's medium.
you guys are able to kind of regroup, and you guys feel pretty confident that you faced a pretty tough pair of enemies and pretty much unscathed walked away from it. You guys are fighting pretty well together. You feel pretty good about that.
We're a good team.
Cool to see.
In the time that I haven't joined the group because I've been digging out my egg, can I pray to Lolth?
Sure.
Okay. So I sit there and I channel her, and I'm not quite sure what to say because I'm still unsure of where my guidance lies or what I should be doing. But I just say, "Hear me, Night Mother, Spider Queen of all chaos. Please reach me, speak to me, tell me. I just killed a bitch. I need to know what I'm doing here." Well, she killed herself, but I have these vials of blood. I need to know what the plan was. Give me some guidance.
You hear back. Killing bitches is always a good first step.
I love your god.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's horrible.
She's after a while, she says, she was also a keen follower of mine. However, she received gifts from someone else.
Oh.
Learn this, young pup.
Betrayal.
If you are mine alone. She called out to me as she died. She begged for me to take her. I did not, for she was not mine to take anymore. And I wouldn't want her anyway. I chose you.
I would be scared. I chose you.
I'm
the
not
horrible.
scared.
I chose you.
I don't mind
And
spiders.
In the
She's
But
horrible.
just as there's you feel kind of the presence of her starting to recede, and she says, "Oh, one last thing. The boy, Jenkins, he's interesting.
Oh, they won't.
I thought so too.
Lots of potential in that one. Young, foolish, easily guided. Just a tinge of the bloodlust about him. Feed that bloodlust for me, will you?"
I will do just that. You have my word.
I know you will. And that is where we're going to leave it for tonight.
It's been great.
Oh, it's been so good having a gaming session in person. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you very much for anyone who is watching tonight. We hope you enjoyed. Just as always, we are presented by and in association with Horsham Gamers. We are a local group involved in all kinds of gaming, through from tabletop and board games, stuff like this, all the way through to esports, competitive gaming, FPS, whatever you like. If you like games, we like it too. And if you have anything to do with nerd culture, just please come find us. Look for us on Facebook at Horsham Gamers, and also our Discord channel at Horsham Gamers. And we'd love to meet you, love to talk to you. So thank you very much, and we hope you tune in next time. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.